let's see. What do we got here? So, how you doing? How's everybody doing? I know this is pretty early, but I wanted to make sure that we definitely took this. Hey, hello. What's up? Hello. So,
Hello.
okay, so for anybody who doesn't know what I'm doing, I haven't really told anybody what I was doing as far as like my viewers or anything like that. But I was really interested in the whole Heaven's Gate story and everything like that, and I know you're a part of it, and that's why I wanted to have you on. So, can I ask you just a couple of different questions
Sure.
about the situation? Oh, by the way, first things first, if anyone wants to go check out Sawyer, I put his channel in the description. That way, you know, if anybody who's checking out, can also subscribe to you. So do you consider Heaven's Gate a cult, just like for your own standards?
Well, like Doe said, it was the cult of cults.
Okay.
But what cult really means is that it's a subculture.
Okay.
And so, in other words, all the religions, in a sense, started as cults.
Yeah.
Right? Because they weren't the current culture at the time.
Yeah.
And that's why they were all rejected.
So how many people were involved with Heaven's Gate? Like when like around the time that everything kind of came to a head and everybody left. What they call their bodies vehicles, correct?
Yes, they call their bodies vehicles. Well, there were 39 individuals that exited in March 22nd, 3rd, 4th of 1997. Exited their bodies. That's the way they would talk about it, because they thought of their bodies as like suits of clothing.
Where did they come to that conclusion from? Like, where do you know where that came from, or like the idea?
Where did what come from? I'm sorry.
Like, do you know where the idea of like bodies being vehicles came from? Like, do you have any?
From Tiendo.
Okay, so can you explain who Tiendo was for anybody who's not really, you know, that immersed in the Heaven's Gate lore?
Tiendo were two people that met in Texas, where they were from. And they were in their 40s at the time, and T was working as a registered nurse in a Houston hospital, working in nursery, taking care of babies. But sometimes she substituted for other nurses, and just happened to meet Doe when Doe was visiting a sick friend in the hospital, and met him, and they started to talk about astrology, because T was an astrologer, an amateur astrologer on the side, and Doe was interested in having someone do his chart. So they had that in common at first, but other than that, they really didn't have much in common, except they both had a strong belief in their Heavenly Father, both coming from a Christian background.
So I saw that it was kind of like a Christian background. It's kind of like, from what I could gather, it seems like that mixed with like some type of alien, you know, elements. Is that a fair assumption? Or?
Well, to some degree, yes, but T had been actually a theosophist, you know, which was following the teachings of Madame Blavatsky and the Mahatma letters, like the Hindu and Buddhist philosophies, and so she wasn't like a strict Christian. She was also involved with the paranormal and investigating a lot of things having to do, and you know, the idea of spacecrafts existing and being part of the kingdom of God, if you want to call it the kingdom of God in the archaic terminology of the religion, is actually, they believed right from the beginning that it made sense to them that the next level was made up of physical people, physical people that had physical bodies, but they were more evolved than humans.
Than we are.
Yes, just like humans are more evolved than animals. They're as much evolved above human as humans are above animals. It's that big of a gap.
Yeah. Hey, so can I ask you a question? Like, how long were you with Heaven's Gate? Like, how long were you with them in total?
19 years.
19 years. Wow.
Almost exactly.
So what was the catalyst that made you? So would you consider yourself not involved with Heaven's Gate anymore, or are you not? Are you a former member? Like I put former in the title, but I wasn't 100% sure. I just wanted to ask you. Where
Yes,
do you stand? Where do you stand, or did you leave? What's the situation?
I'm a former member because I left in of my own volition in 1994,
Okay.
and there is no group anymore. So everybody that's left is either a former member, is a former member. There's no other new members,
Okay.
and there are people that believe in T and Do that were never that never met T and Do. Um, but but they're not members of anything.
Would you think they're like a subsection of like people who probably would have joined if they were still here?
Well, some might have, yes, it's
Okay.
possible.
Yeah. Um, man, like I gotta understand. Like, so what made you leave there? What happened there?
Well, there were certain things, certain lessons that I wasn't learning. I didn't realize it, and uh, um, so uh, I gave into see one of the parts of the next level in the teachings was that members of the next level are not mammals,
Okay.
so they don't reproduce. They have
Okay.
physical bodies, but they don't have reproductive organs.
So no sex, right?
Right, so no sex. So in order for them to accept a soul, um, which is another way of describing a next level member, is that they have to prove to the next level that
They're ready.
they are willing to get rid of all their mammalian behaviors and ways.
Ah, okay. So is that where the castration stuff came in? Like, did people actually do that?
Well, not exactly. I mean, yes, there were like 7 people, according to the coroner, that because I
Okay.
wasn't there in 1997, or 6 or 5. So when most of the people chose to go through the castration surgical procedure with the doctor, I wasn't among them.
Who do
I
you
was
know
there for the first person that was
that
castrated because I also wanted that experience. I'm
so
not that
you
experience, but I wanted to take that action.
so you were actually going to do that?
Yes, I was. I was. I was. Well, see, I had been celibate for like 18 years, and that meant in mind and body to the degree in which I was in control of my physical body, because that was the object. The object was to take over the human body,
Hmm.
the soul taking over the human body, and it's because the human body wants to be human. It wants to do all the things that humans do.
Yeah, yeah,
And part of what humans want to do is, reproduce and
yes.
have sexuality and stuff, and other things too. Many things, actually.
So so you wanted to prove that you were moving past that, and you were going to do that.
Yes, I was moving past it, and I feel like I did. I thought I did a pretty good job, but I actually wasn't doing as good of a job as I thought I was. And
Somebody in the chat, Hannah, if you don't know, sorry, the person in the chat just asked if you know T and Do. You met both of them, correct? So
yes, I lived with them, uh, as their student for
okay,
19 years. But T wasn't there the whole time. She
yeah.
was there from 1975 to 1985.
She ended up getting cancer, right?
She did. She had cancer in her eye at first in approximately 1983, and she had her eye removed.
Wow.
And she didn't want to fight it. She she felt like she could fight it. I believe that she could have fought it off if she wanted to,
Hmm.
but she never believed that she was going to be there to the end.
Okay.
She told Doe when she met Doe that she was here on
For a little
Earth
bit.
basically to get him started, and then she
Okay.
was going back, and he didn't understand what that meant. But then when she ended up leaving, he understood what that meant, that she was going to lose her vehicle before they were.
So, did you always know that the end result of this was going to be, you know, what ultimately happened? Was that like a well-known thing in the group?
Well, we didn't know exactly the way we would be exiting our vehicles. We
So
knew
you
that it
guys,
was possible. We knew that it was possible to
Mhm.
leave by taking our physical vehicles with us
Okay.
and transferring our soul to a next level grown physical vehicle on board a spacecraft.
Okay, so when did you first? So you were told that you knew about this. You knew that it was going to happen.
Yes, I did. Well, I knew that it was going as a possibility.
Okay.
I didn't know it was going to happen because it never, I mean, until it happened, it was only a possibility that it was going to happen. I mean, a
Okay.
strong possibility, yes,
Yeah.
but it
So with
didn't mean that, for 3 years they were talking about it.
seriously, wow. Okay,
Yeah,
so this is something that kind of just like eased into everybody, and eventually they just all, like, all right, yeah, this is what we're going to do. How
and
did you
no, it
feel?
wasn't really. It really wasn't really eased into.
Okay.
It was like every member that joined, if they stayed in the group, knew that they were in it 100%. And that would mean potentially not being on Earth anymore
How did
and
you feel
or
about that when you heard it?
being dead, the
Yeah.
vehicle being dead.
With the first time
He
you
knew
heard it,
that
what
from the
was
beginning.
so you knew when you first joined that you might have to lay down your vehicle? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yes, I thought that was actually what was going to happen. I thought it was going to happen by some irate Christian, killing me.
Were you
But
like why did you like think about that? Like I would imagine most people like when they first hit like yeah, I'm out. Like why were you like so like about doing it at the time? Like do you have any like real reasoning? Like where were you at in your life? Like can you explain
well,
that?
I wanted to give my all because I believed in everything T and Do were teaching, and it made sense to me. And I felt like right from the beginning that this was the return of Jesus. And even though I wasn't a Christian in the common sense of that term, I was raised. My vehicle was raised as a Christian, and I always
So
believed that Jesus was somebody very special and like from the kingdom of God. But I didn't really understand what that meant.
so
And
you
but then so T and Do didn't say that they were Jesus,
they
but
never
I
said
felt
that.
like they were.
How do you feel about them now?
Well, let me was the reason why they said that they were not Jesus was because Jesus was the name of the physical body that a member of the next level took over to do
Okay.
that task 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, so how do I feel about them now?
Yeah.
A T and Do?
Yeah.
I feel like they are like an admiral and a captain in what is really like a benefic corporation that created the entire planet and all the life forms on it in order to be a training ground for potential new membership.
So you think are you full hard believe you believe that when they left their vehicles, by the comet and all that, you believe that they left to go to the next level. You don't see what happened as like a tragedy. How do you see
No,
that?
no tragedy at all. I know those individuals. Most of those individuals I knew for 22 years. You can listen to the tapes. There's over 1,000 audio tapes
Hmm.
that T and Do made while they were giving meetings to the students,
Hmm.
not to the public, just to the students. And in those tapes, you can hear from many of those students, and you can tell that they are 100% dedicated to everything. And even some of those students, even though they sounded dedicated, realized at one point or another that they didn't want to be there, and T and Do didn't want them to be there if they didn't want to be there, and so they would leave.
Okay.
And sometimes T and Do helped them leave, even gave them money and gave me money actually to leave.
Okay.
Not
How,
paying me to leave, but paying so that I could take a plane ticket anywhere I wanted to go, and I would have enough
yeah.
money to start off living again.
How did you feel when you left? Like, what was your feelings? How did you feel?
Well, I was a little bit confused about why I wanted to leave and what was happening in my head. Um, but I felt like I needed to go. And
Okay.
Doe told the students that were with me at the time not to try to talk me out of it because I knew what I was doing. I wanted to
Okay.
become more objective about what I was going through in my self-discipline over my physical vehicle.
Okay. Do you ever advocate to anybody about this type of stuff or teach them like any of the stuff that you learned throughout the years?
Just the way that I do now by
Mm-hmm.
telling people what I understand or what I
Mm-hmm.
know from what T and Do taught. I don't have any interest in having students or followers or it doesn't matter to me really if anybody believes what I believe or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have any desire to be a leader of anything. It's not necessary, and it's not even appropriate because I'm not the teacher. The
Yeah.
teacher were T and Do, and all their teachings were left behind. All that's important was left behind for people to study if they want to, and they could also become students. But there's no suicide as a part of the lesson plan now because humans like myself and like others have lots of lessons to learn, and
But so.
the only way we can learn lessons. I have to finish this statement.
Mhm.
Is by having a human vehicle that's alive and even healthy in order to learn lessons.
But why would they need to leave their vehicles then? No, like why was it so crucial at the time?
Well, because they had been in the classroom for a lot of years,
Well, I
and
mean,
even the one,
to be fair, you were too, though.
yes, but they learned all their lessons enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's no end to learning, okay? But
Yeah.
there's a certain time frame that the next level sets up the astronaut training program to become an astronaut in their space crafts
Mm-hmm.
and to be working in laboratories that can be as big as the planet, where inside of it can be an entire laboratory that's even like a replica of the Earth and the atmosphere and everything. So I mean that's an example of what kind of laboratories exist in this universe that the next level is in charge of. And
Okay.
so to qualify for that is a very, very difficult task. And everybody's not ready at the same time. It's a
Mm.
school, and it's like 12 grades in school. And it's like getting into humanness
How
and
did?
then you getting out of it.
Oh, okay, okay. So you're like it's kind of like putting on a mask, taking off a mask, that type of thing. Or like
Well, not a
clothes, maybe,
man.
maybe like clothes, maybe like that. Um.
Well, well, in a sense, it's the next level. They they grow human vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
They provided the way that humans reproduce,
Okay.
but they don't reproduce like that. So they grow physical vehicles for their members to operate like on a vine. I'm not saying that's the only way that they grow them,
Yeah.
but that's one way that they grow them, like a plant grows on a vine. It grows to adulthood, and then they take it off the vine and they move the soul that is deserving of that new vehicle into that new vehicle. And
Mm.
then that becomes the vehicle that that individual is using on spacecrafts, doing tasks, working in laboratories, doing like one laboratory example is the weather lab for the Earth.
Okay.
It's a laboratory that actually monitors and even instigates changes in the weather on
Yeah.
the Earth. And
So
that's controlled in a technical, scientific way.
yeah.
It's not like an imaginary kind of, nebulous kind of, magical way. It's magic to us because
Yeah.
we don't understand the technology they have.
Yeah. How many people are left as far as like former members? Like, is there's you and who else is there out there?
Well, there's Carlodi. I don't know if you heard of his name.
No. So
He goes,
you went
goes by
you went
Carlin.
you went by Soyoti, right?
Yes, I was called Sawyerty, and that name started with Doe giving me the name Sawyer, and that's what I use most of the time.
Hmm.
And but every member of the group at one point in 1978, approximately, or seven, was given what their name, whatever name they had at the time, was shortened to three letters, and then they were given three new letters that was like the last name of
Hmm.
ODY, and so I became SWYODY.
Okay. Um, Man, did you have like a close bond with all these people? Because I saw the pictures and everybody was dressed in the same tracksuits, the same shoes, the same like I guess scarves or something. Who was there that day when they left when they laid their vehicles down?
Who was there?
Yeah,
Well, it was
like as far
38
as
students in Doe.
so all everybody who was there, they all left, right?
Yes, because the last one to leave was it was Rio.
Hmm.
He's known as Rio DAngelo in the media,
Okay.
and but he left the group approximately 2 weeks before they all left. They were, in a sense, waiting for him to make up his mind
So he was
about.
helping them. He was helping them.
Well, he wasn't helping them, but he was a student. But he says in his book that he wasn't really there to leave his vehicle, and so he was there to stay up until the end, and then he knew that he was going to probably leave, and then he decided that to tell Doe that he felt like he had to do something in the world, and Doe said, "Okay, if that's what you want to do, maybe you can do a task for us,"
Hmm.
and gave him some options to work with some of the movie scripts that Doe and the crew had written.
Movie scripts. What do you mean?
They wrote three movie scripts. I only know about the first one because it was written in the 1980s,
Uh-huh.
and I read it. But they had a bunch of illustrations that they had an artist. One of the students was an artist, and he painted uh, illustrations of the next level of the
Hmm.
Earth Lab as if it was part of Pluto, and the weather lab that was a big spacecraft that was observing the weather and changing it and things like that, and observing a hurricane on the Earth, and so he had
Yeah.
all these pictures, and they were left behind, and Rio had the task primarily, I think, at that time to try to see if there would be a Hollywood producer to produce them, but
Where are these
he
scripts
couldn't
now,
find
though?
anybody.
Where are they
What?
now? Where are these scripts now?
Well, as far as I know, well, I know that Rio still has them
Hmm.
from another source that I know because Rio is not communicating with me anymore.
Why
Uh,
is that? Is you guys having an argument, or what's up?
no, no, he decided that he didn't want to have anything to do with the subject anymore,
Okay.
and he felt like he did enough when he wrote his book, and so that was the end of that. But I have from another source knowledge that he has been in touch with the two people that are running the Heaven's Gate website,
Yeah. See, at first I
and
thought it was you who was running it, but who's running it again now?
their names are known as Mark and Sarah. I'm not going to give you the last name because I
Sure.
generally don't like to do that.
Sure, it's all right. I think
And
you said you were involved with like a lawsuit and stuff, right?
yes, they're suing me and Kathy and the individual that was a former member of the group named Carlodi or Carlin.
Why? Why are they suing you though?
Well, because after the group left, they left a lot of material behind, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
And some of it they sent to different students, to up to 8 students who received packets, FedEx packages of information with the letters in them telling them to give this to the media and give it to other people.
Hmm.
Okay, and they left a whole bunch of audio tapes in a storage room, and they gave Mark and Sarah a letter that told them to accumulate the things that were in storage, go to storage and get them, and get Rick Cody, two other former students that wanted to be of service to help them, and go to storage room and remove all the items of value. And the 1,000+ audio tapes, 1,082 audio tapes or 1061 audio tapes.
So,
I'm not
so
sure
they have
what the number
those.
is.
So they have
They
those.
they were in the storage room. Okay, but Mark and Sarah didn't want to go to the storage room, so they gave the information to get into the storage room a couple of days after they got their FedEx package. And so Rick Odie and Oscar Odie went to the storage room and they removed 486 audio tapes.
Okay.
And then the storage room was closed down by San Diego County. And okay, so then Rick Odie took half those audio tapes, they were cassettes, and he split them up with Oscar, and he took his part of them, because the letter to Mark and Sarah was from Doe and the class, the group members, instructed them to take the items of value of storage and divide them among those who wanted to disseminate their information.
Okay.
And so Rick Odie, having just received those letters and understood that was the instruction, decided to keep half of those 486 approximately audio tapes, and he took them and he began to copy them and digitize them and send them to people. And Mark and Sarah changed their mind about it all and then wanted them back from him. And he had already sent me a CD with approximately 200 of those audio tapes on them.
So they changed their minds, and is that why they're suing people, trying to get like copyright? Is it like copyright claims, or what is it?
Yes, for years and years they were not saying anything about their copyrights in detail. And they knew that I was sharing those audio tapes, and also Carlodi, who was working with Rick Odie, was also sharing those audio tapes with people, and I was giving them to the media and different people, freely. I wasn't selling anything, and I had my YouTube channel. But then in 2000 and what year was that? 2018, I think it was. Another member of the group was a former member named Juan Odie, who lives in Venezuela right now, and was living in Venezuela at that time in 2018. He had approximately 920 of those audio tapes that were digitized.
What is on these tapes, by the way? Just like so people know what it is.
It's the meeting.
It's the meetings.
It's the internal meetings of the group when T and Doe would come into where we lived, because we didn't always live in the same house as they lived in.
Okay.
When they would come into that house to have a meeting, they would tell us to turn on the tape recorder.
Okay.
And so they would record the meeting so that the students could re-listen to the meetings, because they a lot of times were covering a lot of things that were not easy to understand and apply. And so that was a teaching tool, even though we weren't required to re-listen to those very often. But I was encouraged to listen to them. So it was a free will kind of learning tool. How do you
feel about the media kind of like painting, Doe as like a madman, type of, person? How do you feel about that?
The media doesn't have any recollection. They don't have any perspective of the reality of the next level.
How do you see them?
Well, I see them as basically just putting out misinformation.
Okay.
And
what about
they don't necessarily know that. They think they're doing a service to the people because they think that this is an evil cult. They're not being. They don't recognize the reality of the next level.
Well, 39 people did die, though. I mean, we don't really have any evidence to show that they went to the next level. I mean, I you know what I mean? So this is why I can
Well,
see
that's
why
true.
people would
We don't
do
have
that.
any evidence that anything happens after we die. I
Sure.
mean, unless you look at the scientific evidence that comes when people have near-death experiences and things like that. I mean, there's some scientific evidence about that. You know, I mean, the mind. We don't have scientific evidence that the mind exists. We don't know
Well,
how we form our thoughts. How do we know
well,
how our thoughts form? We don't have how the computer works with the brain.
well, it's just the brain.
Really?
I don't know how the brain works either, but I know it exists. But
Right.
so
Right.
you don't appreciate the media painting that they call. I'm sorry, painting the group like that. So
No, it's not that I don't appreciate it. It's sometimes they're doing the best they can, you know, under the circumstances. And the bottom line is it doesn't really matter that much whether they talk bad about the next level and Tiendo and myself or not, because there's going to be some people. There's some people that know things that other people don't know.
mm-hmm,
I mean, this is common knowledge. This is common sense, right?
mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I
And
mean,
I knew when I joined the group that there was a reality to spirits,
okay.
you know, dead people, ghosts. That wasn't just a bunch of made up baloney. Okay, I knew that, but I didn't have proof of it.
So do you think
So,
that when you pass, you'll be meeting up with them though?
well, I suspect that my soul will be saved for a future opportunity to go through another lesson program to learn the things that I didn't learn the first time.
So back on Earth again, or the next level?
No, you don't learn it in the next level because, I mean, there is learning in the next level, but it's not the same kind of learning as what it takes to actually become a member of the next level. That has to take place on a planet like Earth with a
Uh-huh.
circumstance to where you have the negativity here and the lies and deceit and the misinformation has to be here. In other words, you know, because that makes a free will environment
Mm-hmm.
because our minds grow as we have experiences and we start to recognize what is real and what's not. And it's not that easy to do sometimes because there's so much confusion
Yeah,
that we're surrounded with. You know, like if you look
yeah,
right now, if you look up what the meaning of the word God is, it's been so distorted even from its very use in 6,000 years ago. It's been
yeah.
distorted, and
Um,
so you know it doesn't mean anything anymore.
hmm.
It's
So
it's a bunch of it's a bunch of baloney in a sense.
yeah.
But then there's go
Sorry, go ahead.
ahead.
No, well, I was gonna say someone in the
Well,
chat was saying they were saying they said what did you do before this? You joined. What did you do before you joined the call? And does your family think all? What does your family think all about it? And then they said, and you continue to believe this many years later. Um, I mean, so do you think that like I know we touched on this a little bit already, but like, so you still believe everything you learned with Heaven's Gate?
yes, I do.
Okay. Would you ever start another like maybe a group like that or
No,
no?
no,
Okay.
it's
Um,
absolutely unnecessary and not something within my capacity to do because you need an older member that's been
mhm.
in the next level before to actually teach students. Now I can transfer the teachings of T and Do to anybody that wants to hear about it,
Mhm.
but I would prefer for people to go look at the information that they left behind and study it and go find the audio tapes and start listening to them and make their own mind up about what they believe.
Now,
Right,
what did
like
your
for
family
instance,
think about this though?
well, for example, on there's two ways of listening to the Beyond Human series of videotapes that Doe made in 1992 while I was actually with him,
Hmm.
and uh, they're on a YouTube channel called Heaven's Gate Database, and they're
Hmm.
also on Vimeo under the name Heaven's Gate.
How does your family how does your family feel about all this? Like when you were part of it, and then after the whole situation came to a head, how do they feel about it?
Well, my mother wanted to. I was living on my own for 5 years on the West Coast, and my
Yeah.
family was living in New York. And so when I joined, I sent them a letter, and they were distressed about it. But I
Hmm.
hadn't been much communication with them. I didn't have much in common with them except for my upbringing, and they were good parents and everything, but
Hmm.
they were distressed about it, no question about it. But I was doing what I wanted to do, and I wasn't hurting anybody, and I was an adult, so I was going to do what I wanted.
Yeah.
And but then when C&O sent us to visit them in 1985, approximately in 1987, twice uh, for a weekend, and I spent a weekend with them, and they were really happy to see me because before that they didn't know if I was dead with the Jim Jones people or because I wasn't communicating with them on a regular basis at all for
Yeah.
almost 10 years. And so they were upset by that. And my mother wanted to find me, but my dad felt like I was doing what I wanted to do. So he talked my mother out of trying to find, hire an investigator to find me. So, but then when I left the group in 1994, after I was living on my own in Arizona for almost a year, I went back to New York and I lived with my mother and my sister and my brother, and they were all really happy to have me back in their lives. And
So
my mother passed
they were
away,
really
and
worried then, right? They sent out a private investigator to look for you. I mean,
no, they didn't send it, but they
oh
wanted to.
oh oh, they wanted to. Like, how did Joe go about this? Did he allow? Did he ever say like, hey, I don't want you guys talking to anybody else on the outside, or was it the opposite?
Well, if you wanted to be a student of theirs,
Hmm.
you had to be a student that was willing to give everything
Like, what do you mean by
to them.
everything?
Well, all your time, all your effort, all your desires, everything.
Was money involved as well?
It didn't matter if you had money or not.
Okay. Hmm.
Some people had money when they joined, some people didn't. And they used the money to pay for our food and transportation for the first let's see, till 1980. So the first 5 years, I didn't work a job
Okay. Wow.
because they paid for everything from the
Hmm.
donations that they got.
Okay.
And then we
Now,
weren't public after 1976. We were done with all the public stuff.
so yeah, I heard about that. Like, you did like a couple different tours of the United States, right, and then stopped.
Yes, in 1990, 75, and also 1994 for approximately 9 months each time.
Hmm. Okay. So I knew you were there for both of those.
So it wasn't like a cult that was recruiting membership all the time because they didn't want more members.
But
They, they
why would they get members in the first place then?
Well, at first they didn't want any members at all. In
Okay.
1975 in April, when they gave the first two public meetings that they gave, no, they weren't public. The first two private meetings they gave in North Hollywood on April 7th, approximately, um, they were surprised when some of the people at that meeting said, well, how can we follow you? Because they thought that they were going to just give the information they had and then go on to the next city and give the information they had. But then when they had like almost 2 dozen students, actually approximately 2 dozen students, say to them they wanted to leave everything behind to join them,
Wow.
then they said, well, okay, I guess now you can call us Bo and Peep because we now have sheep. We weren't that excited about it, they said,
So
but
did
we
you
felt like
guys
this was the plan.
did you guys feel like a family, or like how did this
Yes,
all feel? Like,
we did
okay,
feel like a family.
were there strict rules though? Like, how I mean,
Sure.
besides, I mean, I know you were saying like people were going to get castrated.
There
I
was,
know you said you were going to do that. You don't think that was
no,
really extreme though, right?
the castration only took place. It's far too much emphasis on that
Why? What do you
because none
mean?
of the female vehicles were castrated. There is
Well,
a
I mean,
castration procedure for females,
okay,
but and but that only became an option in approximately 1992, and then that was put on hold until 1995 or 6 when it became an option again.
So
And
seven
all
people
the
did it though?
males were not castrated.
Okay, so it was just a choice to show that you were more committed.
No, it was a choice that each individual would make. Like I wanted to do it to prove to the next level that I was 100% committed.
You don't think
Okay.
that's completely crazy though?
Well, I don't think it's any more crazy than having your tubes tied or having surgery to make your breast bigger
That would
or
be
you know
getting
having
that would get rid of like your sexual organs. I mean, like for the rest of your
yeah. But
life,
what if
that's
I
it.
don't want to what if I don't want to reproduce anymore?
I mean, but why? If you,
Why would I care about it?
what I'm saying is, why go the extra mile to mutilate yourself when you don't have to?
It's not a mutilation. It was a surgical procedure.
Oof. I mean, I don't know. To me, it sounds like it's going a little far. I mean, you could just make the choice to
Well,
be
that's to
celibate. You
you.
know,
That's
you
to
could
you.
just
That's not for
you
me.
just you could just be celibate though. I mean, you know.
We were celibate. I was celibate for 18 years, and I thought I was pretty successful with it. So in a sense, it was a way of uh, experiencing what it's like to not have those hormones going through your body, because
Okay.
they are hormones. If you ask any scientist, they will tell you that you wouldn't have any of those desires if you didn't have those hormones going through your body. So, so we're being controlled. Our vehicles are being controlled by those hormones.
Okay. So, did Doe end up having the procedure done? No,
Yes, he did, but he
he
wasn't the
did.
first one.
He did.
He wasn't the first person. He wanted to be the first one,
Okay.
but he wasn't. He didn't end up choosing to be the first one.
Who was the doctor that actually did this though?
I don't know the names of the doctors because I wasn't there for. I was there for the first one, and that was done by a registered nurse who was a student, and she worked for an orchiectomist
How did
uh,
you?
uh,
Well,
in a private practice. And in that private practice, the orchiectomist's job is to remove the testicles of people that have cancer. So she learned the procedure, and so she gathered all the correct surgical devices and the sterilization techniques and anesthetizing techniques, and she performed that surgery on one of the students, and I was going to be one
so
of those students.
so she did it outside of the hospital.
Yeah, it was outside of a hospital. We set up our own surgical room.
So illegally, pretty much.
No, it's not illegal. There's no law against that.
Well, I mean, isn't she like when you go to medical school and everything like that? Like you have to do all the stuff in the hospital, right? I mean, if you're just doing it on the street, I mean,
No.
isn't that kind of illegal though?
Well, I wasn't on the street.
Well, where was it exactly? Where did they do
It
this?
was
And what?
actually in California, in a office that was completely clean and
What
sterile,
was? Yeah.
using sterile tools and sterile procedures, and by somebody that was trained in the procedure.
Okay. What was the vibe like after that person did it? Like, how did everybody feel? Like, what was the atmosphere like, and the topic of conversations around that time?
Well, we didn't really like talk about it. Like we didn't have that kind of a from the beginning. We didn't have. We were learning to be crew members, and crew members didn't just chit chat,
Mm-hmm.
sit around and smoke cigarettes and drink coffee
Okay.
and shoot the breeze and inject heroin into our
So
brains.
so you guys were like you guys stuck to yourselves, right? Um.
Well, we
How did,
only talked when we really had reason to talk, even though that became more relaxed in later years because we weren't chit chatty.
so
It
what?
wasn't that we didn't have fun and we didn't have laughter and conversation and fun. We had all kinds of things,
Okay.
but they were the things that were given to us to by the teachers, because we saw the teachers as being like the professors in
Yeah.
a uh, uh, in a university, and we were
Yeah.
like taking a chemistry class. And
What
if we
was?
didn't want to do the things that the chemistry teacher gave us, then we weren't going to pass the class, and we could
Okay.
leave. We could
What
always
was?
leave.
what was your thoughts though around the time when the first person did the castration? Like you were like, all right, I want to do this next.
I was a little bit envious, yes.
Wow. Okay. Envious. Wow. I wasn't expecting you to say that.
Yeah.
Man, this is why I wanted to touch on this and talk to you because, like, look, I saw a few documentaries about this and everything like that, and it's hard to believe that a lot of people would be invested in this, and that's why I wanted to have you up to show that, like, yeah, like this is a very real thing. I mean, so you don't look at this all around as a negative thing. And like when you think back about Heaven's Gate, you don't think about it negatively, do you?
No, there's nothing negative about it. And I can prove that. I
Okay.
mean, the evidence is in the audio tapes. The evidence is in my personal experiences of 19 years. I can go through, month after month almost, and tell you about circumstances that happen in this way and that way, and that shows that what the media is saying about them is not true. And
Okay.
but they don't. When I give interviews, and I've given like dozens of interviews to
No. Oh
mainstream
yeah.
media.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't use that part of the interviews where I give them those examples because they don't want to portray that. It's too hard to portray that. They want
Hmm.
to put the cult experts there, and they want to have people just believe a little bit of it. They don't
Okay.
want to believe any of it actually
Yeah.
because they think everyone's going to go commit suicide. That's not going to happen.
See, I
I
don't think
mean,
that's gonna happen, but like it's a little bit worrisome though to me that like after all like it came to a head and everything like that you're still like yeah I'm still invested like I don't know like that's why I think a lot of
why
people
is that
are or
worrisome?
like you don't all right do you get people in your family or like anybody around you that says like hey are you all right like they don't like do they think that you might go out and do something like that one day or is that like a topic that's ever came up or?
Well, the people that know me and my brother and sister, they're not worried about it.
Okay.
I don't talk about doing that. I don't have any plans to lay down my vehicle by my own hand. But so how come people are so concerned about that when people are so quick to go to war and support wars where people are dying all the time and killing each other, killing babies, and killing, and they justify it. They all think it's a terrible thing, but then they say, well, we got to pay for this. We got to send billions of dollars to Ukraine so that they can kill the Russians, and we got to send them to Israel and send them to Hamas, and we got to do all this stuff, and so but this little group of people that decided to lay down their lives, they have a big problem with that.
Well, I
It's
mean, I think it's the amount of people that it was like 39 people, right? They were all dressed in the same jumpsuits, and what were they wearing again? Do you
you know
remember?
that 22 to 40 people a day kill themselves because they were in the military in during the wars in the
I
United States and the Middle
I,
East.
I don't doubt it.
22 to 40 people kill themselves.
I don't doubt it. And for me, my thought process is that we should have more mental evaluations and more mental health counselors for people like that so they can talk
Maybe
out
we shouldn't
whatever
even
they're.
send them into the war.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, war is something that will never end, though, because it's one of those things that throughout history just hope happens over and over again. It's just unavoidable. I agree with you that war is
It's
terrible.
avoidable.
War,
It's
war is
avoidable. That's the
terrible.
negativity.
Well, the reason why I think it's unavoidable is because you have people with different interests, like these defense contractors and defense lobbyists. All these people have interest in destroying other countries because it sells. They make money off it. So
I know. I agree with you.
that's why it always happens, and they sucker politicians into it. And then once they get a war going, then there's a new avenue of money going there nonstop because weapons and ammunition are expensive and. It's crazy, but yeah, it's all about money. Most of the time, it's just about money.
Yeah.
You know, but
Okay.
so
I
so
agree on
like
that for sure.
yeah, I agree with that. So like you don't, so you never, you're like in the future, you're not gonna follow through with anything like that, right?
Well, as far as I know, I don't have any plans for it, but I don't know what the future can bring. I mean, there's been times where I was really upset with my life, and I was thinking, gosh, it'd be nice to just get out of here. But I'm not going to make that choice because I'm not going to let little stupid depression about something be a reason to lose the opportunity that we have to learn these lessons. Like, for instance, like let's say somebody has, they lost their career. Okay, they went bankrupt or something, and now they feel like, well, I can't be that important person that I used to be. I can't support all these people that I used to support, and so I might as well just go kill myself. Right? See, that's not learning the lesson.
Yeah.
That there's a higher things to aspire to that could actually project their asking to the next level above human. However they think about that, the highest source they can reach, they can beg them for help in order to conquer their problems. And that's with like addictions and with whether it's drug addictions or alcohol addictions or sexual addictions or all kinds of things that there are that people can being unable to make enough money to support your kids, and can be very depressing.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
those are lesson opportunities. See, the students of the next level, Heaven's Gate, they had conquered all those things enough that most of them won't have to come back to a human incarnation in order to be exposed to those same kind of lessons. But some might, like Doe said, that some of those that even left with him might have to come back. Because this is a process. See, it looks like a long time to us, 6,000 years since the beginning of this current experiment. There was a previous civilization to this, even many civilizations on Earth before this, where they had technology. Yeah, and Doe was there for that.
Was there? Okay.
Yes, he was there, and his soul was actually the same soul that was Adam and Enoch and Moses and Elijah and Jesus. And now, so there's a lot of evidence of that if somebody wants to see it. I lost your host.
Sorry, I ended up getting kicked off for a second there. All right, so I mean, so now that I'm like hearing about all this, like, what's the future for this whole for Heaven's Gate? Do you just see it as like something that's just going to continue on loosely, and people will probably still make films about it and everything like that? Like, are you ever going to release any of the recordings or the voice those pretty much their classes, right? Like,
yeah. Did you know that you don't have any video?
Yeah,
right
no,
now?
I know. Yeah, I know. My camera kind of doesn't shoot my camera right now,
All right.
so I
All right. I just wanted to make sure that you knew.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. I've already given away the audios that I can give away. Now I can't do it right now because I've agreed not to for the sake of the court case completing. Okay. And so it's not like I have anything to release to anybody.
So
I'm not holding anything back. It's Mark and Sarah that are holding back things.
So Mark and Sarah are holding on to it. They don't plan to release any of it?
It doesn't look like it. For 25 years, they haven't wanted to do it, and they haven't done it.
Someone in the chat said, so you believe those that killed themselves or quote unquote left their vehicle caught a ride on the comet?
No, not on the comet. I mean, we don't know what a comet really is, do we? What is it, a dirty snowball?
It's like,
we don't really know. Nobody knows what the comets really are.
Well, it's like a rock flying through outer space,
No, all we see is what we know. We can measure with our devices, and that's very little. But the bottom line is that the next level has spacecrafts, and they could have picked up those individuals at any time during the course of that process. They could pick up any human that they want to at any time, because their spacecrafts can be even right with us, and we can't see them because they know how to cloak them. That idea of cloaking a spacecraft didn't come from Star Trek. It's actually it's actually a technology that the Next Level has, and humans learned a lot about that when those crashed UFOs happened.
Yeah.
And they got some examples of Next Level spacecrafts,
Yeah.
or even space alien spacecrafts, which can also be potentially Next Level spacecrafts originally. Anyway, that's a long story. But so now, was there a companion object with that comet? Well, there is photographic evidence of a companion object. Now, they don't want to show that to us because they don't want people to think that exists.
Who's they?
Well, NASA and government and military and
Okay.
you know, intelligence organizations that know about the whole UFO subject and the whole crashed spacecraft subject and the whole space alien subject.
Yeah.
They've been knowing about this since the 1940s. It's not been a secret among a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it's been a secret in the press because they want to keep it that way.
So do you?
But now they're letting certain things out a little bit.
Yeah. Do you go to like conventions and stuff like that when like people talk about Heaven's Gate? Do you ever go to these meetups and stuff?
I didn't know there were any that talked about Heaven's Gate.
Oh, there is sometimes. I was just curious if you're ever involved in that.
Well, if you ever hear of any, or if you can give me the names of any or links to any that, you know, show that they've done that, I'd like to know about it. Now, maybe you're referring to a couple meetings that myself and Juan Odie and Carl Odie and Kathy have done.
I mean, I'm not exactly sure. I know I've seen some. I think I got my camera back on. All right, cool. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I do have an interest in, since I've been in the media so much. Okay, there are a lot of people that want to get a firsthand perspective of what they saw in the media, because a lot of people don't trust the media.
No, I know, and that's why I reached out to you, because I wanted to get I wanted to get the real story. You know what I mean? I saw that you were in a documentary, and I wanted to hear exactly what you thought about everything. You know?
Right. So there's a lot of people like that, and I am willing to if you know, I don't have a lot of money, so I can't just travel to any place on the earth, basically, to give meetings.
Yeah.
And so, but if there's anybody that wants to support, you know, myself and Kathy traveling to give meetings, I'd be glad to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
but if that doesn't happen, huh?
For anybody who's listening right now, like this will be up later too. I'm gonna have it on the main channel, but so yeah, this is a video. Like, I'm sorry, his YouTube channel is in the description and everything like that. So go check it out. So sorry, like you said you're with Kathy. Was she involved with Heaven's Gate too, or no?
No.
Okay.
She came to believe in the group after she was studying the information that came from watching documentaries.
Okay.
I watched one documentary and I watched the Beyond Human series.
She watched one documentary and then she watched the Beyond Human series of videotapes that Doe made.
Okay.
And then she decided that she wanted to see if there was anybody left that knew about, you know, was left behind, so to speak, that had been in the group.
Yeah.
And she found me on YouTube.
You see, it's really intriguing. That's why I reached out to you in the first place, because the story is really amazing, and like just everything about it. It's just really, it is
amazing. I know.
It's amazing. There's a lot of questions that go unanswered. Again, that's why I reached out to you. I mean, I really appreciate you coming on and everything like that. You know, like, I know you don't have to do this. I mean, it's like what, 5 a.m, and you know, you're up here doing an interview with some random YouTuber.
Well, this is when I normally go to bed anyway, so it's not a problem for me.
Cool. Well, I mean, like this it's kind of crazy. So so would you consider yourself a former member of Heaven's Gate, or would you say like, hey, listen, I'm part of it, but it's not exactly where it was before?
Well, to be technically accurate, we didn't have the name Heaven's Gate until they came up with it in 1996. So I was a part of the group of T and Doe's students we had different names. Like we started off with a name that was called Human Individual Metamorphosis, because it's really not a spiritual endeavor. It's really not a religious kind of thing. It's really scientific and technical.
What do you mean?
That is actually a metamorphosis that takes place of the mind and the body. Actually can go through a physical and mental changeover into a new creature. A new creature that becomes a beginner in the physical, many-membered evolutionary kingdom level above human.
How did Doe explain this? Like, how did he explain the whole leaving your vehicles behind? How did he ever tell you about it, like face to face, just you and him?
Well, not one-on-one on that subject.
Well,
because
what do you tell everybody? I'm just curious.
I mean, if I had wanted to talk to him one-on-one about that subject, I think he would have, talked with me about it. Okay. But overall, I did talk to him one-on-one at different times. But in general, my communication with him was like in meetings that he and T would give, to where they opened it up to to questions and answers for the students, and sometimes I would ask a question and or make a comment or something, and then other times I was communicating with them through notes. They had a system of writing to them, and they would get those notes almost every day sometimes and respond to those notes appropriately.
Okay. Did they ever explain the group, like, the process of how they would lay down the vehicles, or no?
Yes, they did. In 1994, Doe held a meeting, and it was with new students and the older students. And he described that actually before that we had a meeting some months before that, where he said that the handwritings on the wall that we may have to take it upon ourselves to exit these bodies.
Okay.
And so then we traveled to California, because that took place in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
At the end of our meetings that we were giving for 9 months. And so we're back in California, and we were living in warehouses, two different warehouses and a townhouse where I was. And so he held a meeting in the warehouse, which was, an office complex. And so it had nice office rooms in it. And he said to the students, he wanted to hear from each one of us whether we had any reservations about leaving our vehicle by our own hand. Wow. by drinking a barbiturate that would gently put us to sleep.
Drinking a barbiturate? Like what, phenobarbital?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
And that would put us to sleep.
What did the majority of the people say?
They had no reservations.
Wow.
But a couple did have reservations, and Doe arranged for them to leave the next day. He didn't want anybody to be there that didn't want to be there. That was from day one. Day one of 19 years. He did not want anybody to be there if they didn't want to be there 100%. Yeah.
This is like, I don't know, like, so you didn't think there was anything strange about that, like when it was happening? Like, you didn't have any reservations?
I knew that. I told him that I had no reservations, and the thing is that, like I said before, there's certain things that some people know that other people don't yet know. And I'm not saying that I'm a big know-it-all. I'm not a know-it-all.
You're just saying you think you know.
I just knew that I wasn't going to be dead. I knew that. There wasn't any question in my mind.
Do you regret not doing, not leaving your vehicles with them?
Well, in some ways I do, but I don't really because I needed to learn new lessons.
Okay.
I need the experience here. I feel. I don't know if you're still there.
Yeah, sorry, I keep having my my cam. It keeps shutting off. I'm just gonna leave it on the avatar for now. Sorry about
Okay.
that. But
That's
yeah,
a funny looking avatar.
someone say I live in Attleboro. I'm really Kathleen. I live in right next to Providence. You're not too far. But yeah, I mean, I don't I don't know what to say, man. I feel like so you don't have any you don't have any regrets, like sorry, you do regret somehow, like I don't know, around that time frame you regret not going.
Well, I think did you not get that? Or I'm not,
No, I think I
I
missed
don't
it.
mind
Sorry.
repeating myself,
So
but
no, never mind then. If you already said it, I don't want to make you repeat yourself. But so how do you feel about everything now? After everything's said and done, how do you feel about the whole experience? Like about everything, like in total, like everything that happened to you. How do you feel about it?
I think it's the greatest story ever told.
Well, you are a part of a very interesting time in history for a very intense event. You know,
You know,
um,
yeah, see, it's like the religions are all distorted, okay? But all the religions came from members of the next level that
mhm,
stimulated those events to happen that became distorted and diluted
yeah,
from the original teachings. But the next level allows that to happen because it provides free will.
hmm,
And it's what grows from incarnation to incarnation, if you want to look at it that way, is the mind. The mind is synonymous with the spirit and is what occupies the soul. The information, the truth, is what occupies the soul. What reality is
yeah,
what the next level is reality. On earth, we're really not living in reality because
what do
we
you
don't
mean?
even know where we came from. We don't even know what the purpose of this place is. And yet,
Well,
you look at the earth and you look at the animal kingdom and the mineral kingdom and the plant kingdom and the human kingdom. You look at all these different kinds of life forms
mhm,
that'll have all this electromagnetic intelligence.
yeah,
The genetic code is extremely intelligent in its design. There's no way for the human body with all these organs to have just evolved from a one cell animal crawling out of the sea to become a human body.
yeah.
That's not going to happen unless there's a scientist to
Um,
help that happen.
I can ask you, do you know why why all the Heaven's Gate members dressed the way they did when they left their vehicles? Like, do you know what the purpose of that was?
Well, over the years, we wore uniforms,
Do you have
so
any
that
of
was
that?
just different.
Do you have any of the uniforms left?
No, I didn't leave with any of the uniforms that we had. In fact, I
Huh,
don't think we even had them anymore at that point
okay. Hmm.
when I left.
Man,
But we,
it's go
yeah,
ahead.
we had two other kind of uniforms before that.
But what was the purpose of them though?
Well, a part of the purpose is that, see, next level members aren't full of themselves.
Okay.
They want to be of service and be like crew members.
Like a hive mind
And
type of thing?
what's that?
Like a hive mind type of thing?
like a crew mom.
Well, not like a hive mind like a bee, because insects aren't intelligent. They're not evolved.
Okay.
Okay, but it's like it's crew mindedness. It's like,
Okay.
look at the way that a really good functioning team works in any
Okay.
environment.
Yeah.
Well, like what?
A soccer team.
Well, like a soccer team, okay,
Yeah.
or a
Okay.
football team, whatever.
Okay.
Everybody's got little tasks that they do, and if they really want to do a good job, they're going to do the best they can at their task, and they may learn other positions,
Hmm.
and they can do the best they can in those positions.
So
But overall, they want to win.
Did the uniforms help everybody feel like they were part of the same team? And
No, wait a second. So they want to win. In the next level, that means do their tasks the best that they can do them.
Yeah.
And one of the tasks is to help humans recognize the reality of the next level and the purpose of the whole planet, to have the option, the choices over and over again, to gravitate to that membership. They can actually hear us when we ask them with thirst and with desire and with genuine feelings. If we project that asking to the highest source we can imagine in the universe, they will hear us and they will try to help us, because they can receive radio waves that our brains emit that humans don't know how to interpret. Humans don't have the technology to interpret the radio wave band that they can communicate on with us.
Man, like, your life is very interesting. You have been through a lot. I'm really, it's really intriguing. So really, do you ever go by Sawyer Odie anymore, or is that just kind of something from the past and you don't really go by that anymore?
I don't really go by that anymore, because that was basically a name that was given to us to be used internally among each other.
Yeah.
It wasn't really designed to be for the public. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing it. Like Carlotti goes by Carlotti sometimes.
Why did they do that, though?
Huh?
What was the purpose of that, by the way?
What, the names?
Yeah, like this, like, like, if, like, my name is Craig, so if I went there, it'd be Craig Odie or something. Like, what was the purpose of adding that?
Well, you'd have to be adopted by T&O to be Craig Odie.
Oh, okay. So you'd have to be adopted by. Okay, gotcha.
You mean adopted in an informal way, not by the government?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, see, the Odie is the last name that associated with. They had a little joke about it, that when we were students that had grown to be more adult in our understanding and lessons and things, then they were going to drop the Y, so we'd be the family of odd, and that was a little bit of a joke,
Okay.
because we knew we were odd. I know I'm odd.
How do you feel? How do you feel? Like, do you miss them? You have to, right?
Well, in a sense, I miss them, but it's not like the kind of missing that you would have with somebody in the world that you're attached to, because we didn't have those kind of attachments. Like sometimes I miss my daughter, who's in her mid-20s right now, and but I know she's doing okay, and so I don't feel like I have to be in her life because she lives in a different state.
Mm-hmm.
And so and with the fellow students that I had, I don't miss them because I never had like a human kind of bond with them. Like, I wasn't emotionally connected with them. I like them. I feel a certain amount of love for their minds. I don't love their vehicles, except for how their vehicles were cooperating with their minds to become members of the next level.
What did you guys do when you were with each other? Like, when you were staying at the same house? Like, what did you guys do on an average night?
We did the same things that most humans do.
Just, did you go out, or did you hang around, drink coffees? Like, what exactly were you guys?
Well, we had jobs, some of us.
Okay.
Like about half of us.
Okay.
And like I became a computer programmer in the world, and became a chef and a pastry chef.
Okay.
But then if I wasn't doing those jobs, I was part of T&O structured everything to be like a lesson ground.
Okay.
So that we'd learn to work in a laboratory and work together as a crew. Like
preparing you, right?
Yes. And so they said that the way we were thinking about food as a human wasn't the way that the next level would think about food. They considered food to be fuel, and that making food was an experiment, and you're trying to come out with the best experiment that you could come up with, so that if it was supposed to be hot food, it would be hot. If it was supposed to be cold, it would be cold. And if it was supposed to be cooked to a certain amount, it was cooked to that amount. And so we had recipe cards that were called formulas. And so you had two people on duty that were to be check partners with one another to try to measure the ingredients. And they would like hold up the bottle of cayenne pepper, and they would say, okay, this is cayenne pepper, as if it was like nitroglycerin. You know what I mean? It was a very important ingredient in the formula. Because in the next level, you would be doing laboratory experiments with very important ingredients. And you couldn't just do it your own way or be willy-nilly about it for the experiment to come out. Otherwise, you might have humans that might have 12 eyes in their toes. You know, they might not need eyes in your toes.
Yeah.
You know,
So
just
was the thought process though, like, hey, we're going to be like, you know, like angels for God type of thing when you guys were supposed to go there, or what was the thought process?
Well, in a sense, yes, because the word angel really comes from, it's a messenger.
Okay.
That's where that word stems from. If you look up the Greek of it, it's a messenger, or a crew member is the same thing.
Oh, okay. I
But
think
see,
I think I understand this now. Yeah.
yeah.
Huh.
So, I mean, those early days, the record books that, you know, of the Bible or any other religions that have their record books, you know, were depicting the next level according to the ability of the humans at the time to comprehend the next level.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't talk about rocket ships with people 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? It wouldn't make sense to them. They would think you were talking about a bunch of baloney.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? You were making strange things up, and you were insane.
Okay.
Okay. But then, as the mind evolved, and we knew that rocket ships existed, then the next level, that's the time the next level could come and give updates and say, actually, the next level has rocket ships, but they're actually much more sophisticated than what humans have. They don't even need to have like rocket fuel. They can operate on some kind of nuclear type of material that we don't even have on Earth.
Hey, so what do you usually talk about on your channel? Like, what's the general content that you make on there? Just curious.
Well, sometimes I'm commenting the things that are happening in the world with the politics and with the religions and things. And sometimes I'm talking about the things that I hear, that Kathy and I hear on audio tapes from T&O. That's actually the best things that I do, I think, on my channel is talk about the things that T&O taught.
Do you react to it, like some of the clips, or you just kind of talk about it?
No, I don't. Well, I guess you mean react, like give my opinions about it?
Yeah, I mean, like, is it playing in the background, or is it just you? It's just you.
No, I can't play it in the background anymore because I'm sued for doing that.
See, I'm gonna reach out to them and see if they can release some of it. I don't really understand why they don't want to release any of it. It's kind of strange.
Well, you can reach out if you want. But
it's a real serious historical event. You know what I mean? You'd think you'd want to release that so people can understand everything that happened. You know what I mean?
I know, it's common sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really big thing in history, and that's literally the main reason why I want to do this interview with you. Like, I don't care, like, so this is a little bit outside the comfort zone of like the interviews I do. I do some different interviews and stuff like that, and I've done some great ones, but this is a little bit outside that spectrum. But I feel like the importance of it, just because of the historical importance, I really wanted to do this, and again I appreciate you coming on and everything.
Well, I appreciate it too. I appreciate the opportunity. I enjoy. This is fun for me.
Yeah,
Kathy wants to say something.
Hello, Kathy. Hello.
Want me to point to you?
No.
So you want to move the camera a little bit to her? I mean, I can't really. Hey,
Well, I don't know if I'm camera ready.
oh, all right. So what did you want to say, Kathy?
My hair might be sticking up. I just wanted to caution you with approaching Mark and Sarah. The way to approach them is through their website. And they have an email that you can click on. It's reb@heavensgate.com. I believe
Okay.
that's what their email address is.
Yeah.
But we are in a very bitter, expensive lawsuit with them.
Okay.
They've been suing us starting from May of 2021.
Wow.
It's now 2023.
Over just over playing videos on YouTube.
Overplaying the audios.
Wow.
So
That's ridiculous.
I agree with you. They've spent probably over almost close to $200,000 pursuing this federal civil lawsuit against us.
What are they trying to get from you?
Copyright infringement. They're suing Sawyer for, I think, $200 million, or maybe it's $800 million. Yeah, it's totally ludicrous.
It's ridiculous. Wow.
They're suing me for $2 million and Carlo for $100 million. I might have those numbers wrong. It might be 80 and then 10 and then 2, but millions of dollars. And they're suing us for copyright and trademark infringement.
So they're claiming that they got it copyrighted?
They do have things copyrighted, but the way that they went about it was fraudulent, and that's what our defense is.
Okay, so you're trying to say that their copyright is fraudulent?
Well, we have evidence of that. We're not just saying it.
We have tons of evidence, which we presented in court. If anybody wants to look it up, it's on PACER, which is PACER, which is the federal court system of the United States. You can get any court case that you want to look up, you can get it there.
Could you guys send me can you send me a link of it after we get off?
Sure. And we'll
Thank you.
send you the case. Be aware that you do have to sign up for an account with PACER, and they do ask for a credit card. As long as you look at less than 300 pages in a 3-month time span, you won't get charged anything.
Okay.
And be aware that the first filing in this case, which was their complaint against us, I think is about 200 and something pages. So just be careful. Right. When the guy served it to us, he was like, I've never seen anything like this before. And we were like, neither have we. But
that's crazy.
I didn't want to take over the interview or anything like that, but I did want to strongly caution you approaching Mark and Sarah. It would probably be, if you actually want to get some of the audios out of them, don't talk about Sawyer and myself.
Well, see, let me just say this: me reaching out to them has nothing to do with you guys or anything like that. You never told me to. This is all just me.
And you could say, I talked to Sawyer and Kathy, and I wanted to hear these audio tapes for myself, and they're gonna shut you down. They are very non-communicative, and I don't mean to paint them in a bad light or anything like that. But even before I met Sawyer, I was communicating with them via email, and they would only send me 1 tape at a time.
Oh, okay. So they were sending you tapes.
But it had a limited.
They only sent me 3 before it just got they're very prickly. If you say the wrong thing, then they'll stop talking to you.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, I appreciate the advice, and I'll see where that takes me.
The way that, because I knew about the tapes from Sawyer, and so they questioned me about that. They were like, "Oh, you must have heard about the tapes from some other student," and I'm like, it doesn't matter where I heard about them. I just want to hear the tapes. Yeah,
you just want it's about a very serious and significant historical event. That's why I'm interested. So
the tapes will blow you away. They're like nothing you can ever expect. You'll be amazed.
I'm sure. Hopefully I can get some access to them. By the way, everybody watching this, thank you guys for watching and everything like that. If you can do me a favor and please like this stream up. And subscribe if you're new. Check out Sawyer's YouTube channel. It's in the description. Look, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I thank you guys for coming on and talking with me. I really do appreciate it, Sawyer.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and if you ever want to come back on or anything like that during the day, I mean, we don't have that too many people watching because of how late it is, but I didn't care. I just want, like I said, I wanted to get this interview in because of how important I think it is, you know.
Yeah, no, I think I'm glad we could do it. It worked for me to do it tonight, and that's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
well,
yeah.
Again, thank you guys for coming on, and I know I'll talk to you later. If anything new comes up or any type of if you want to come back on and talk about some different stuff, as far as Heaven's Gate or whatever, we can absolutely do that.
Well, let me know what you want to do because maybe when you look back on this, you might think otherwise.
No.
Well, it's okay.
I'll check out some different stuff. Nah, it's all good. I don't have any negative thoughts towards you guys.
I mean, there's a lot to it. It's there's a lot to tremendous amount of information that T and Do provided.
Absolutely.
And I've got plenty of personal experiences that are interesting. I think to talk about. So
yeah, I'm gonna look a little bit more into it, and see if there's anything that if I have any questions that maybe you could answer. Maybe you can come up again if you want.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you guys again for coming on, and I'll talk to you guys later. You guys have a good night. Oh, good morning. Good night. All right. Bye, guys. All right. So, thank you guys for coming in and watching. I know it's like crazy early and stuff, but like I said, this is really. I just thought the interview was really important. It's a topic I really like. I really wanted to get this in and done so you guys could see it. I just think because of the historical, just because of the historical significance. You know what I mean? Anyways, I appreciate you guys coming here. Like it's gonna take a little while to build up a channel again because of the break I took. So do me a favor, guys, like up the stream wherever you see them. Make sure you subscribe, the notifications on, build this channel back up to where it was. It's gonna take a bit because of how much I kind of left out, but we can do it. Thank you guys for coming in, and I will I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, should be tomorrow or the day after. I gotta stay consistent with this shit to rebuild it. So thank you guys for coming back and watching me.